Alex Eala lost today. She went down 3-6. 3-6 to Elise Mertens in Bad Homburg, out in the first round. Done. And honestly, it is the least important thing that happened to her today. Because this morning, before that match even started, the WTA published their updated world rankings, and Alex Eala's name appeared somewhere it has never appeared in the entire history of Philippine tennis. World number 30, seeded at Wimbledon. The first Filipino ever to achieve that. Not the first Filipina. The first Filipino, man or woman, in the complete history of the All England Club. Alex Eala's name is on the Wimbledon seedings list, and nothing that happened on a court in Bad Homburg this afternoon changes that by a single letter. If you are new to this channel, and you are just now discovering who Alex Eala is, you have arrived at exactly the right moment. We have been covering her entire grass court season from Birmingham all the way through to this point, and Wimbledon is now 6 days away. Subscribe right now so you do not miss a single match breakdown, because this is about to become one of the most closely watched Wimbledon campaigns in the tournament's recent history. Now, let us put this properly into context, because the number 30 deserves to be understood fully rather than just read and moved past. 6 years ago, Alex Eala turned professional, ranked outside the top 500 inches the world. Think about what that number actually means. There were more than 500 professional tennis players ranked above her when she started her career. She was a teenager who had just come out of the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain, carrying 0 WTA ranking points and 0 professional wins. She had nothing but potential, promise, and the belief of the Philippine tennis community behind her. The rest of the world had absolutely no idea she existed. There was no ranking to speak of, no results to point to, just a young player from the Philippines stepping into a professional sport that had never seen a Filipino reach its upper levels, starting from the very bottom of the ladder. Today, 6 years later, she is ranked number 30 inches the world, seated at Wimbledon, with career prize money closing in on $2 million. She has wins over the world number 2 and the world number 8 in the same week, just 4 days ago. She has a Birmingham Open title, engraved on a trophy that also carries the names of Billie Jean King, Maria Sharapova, and Ash Barty, from outside the top 500 to number 30. From unknown teenager to Wimbledon seed. In 6 years. At 21 years old. That is the story. Everything else, including today's loss to Mertens, is simply detail around the edges of that story. Now let us talk about how the ranking actually got to this point, because the journey from number 37 at the start of the grass season to number 30 today was not a slow, steady climb. It was a sprint, and it happened across 4 of the most productive weeks of her career in rapid succession. It started in Birmingham at the beginning of June. She walked in as the top seed at a WTA 125 event and proceeded to win 5 consecutive matches without dropping a set until the final. The final itself required 3 sets, but she won that too. Along the way, she broke a 6-year curse, having lost 13 consecutive matches against Czech opponents before this moment, and she beat the finalist in the title match to claim the Birmingham Open trophy. She left Birmingham as a grass court champion for the first time in her career, and she left ranked number 33, 4 places better than when she had arrived. That was the foundation. Then came Queen's Club, a WTA 500 event in London, a significant step up in the level of competition. She arrived as a late addition to the main draw, having been upgraded from the qualifying rounds. She beat Zhang Shuai before losing to Irina Camelia Begu in the round of 16. It was not her best performance of the season, but the ranking points still counted, and they still moved her forward. More importantly, the experience of competing at that level against top 20 players in London, just 1 week before Wimbledon, was exactly the kind of preparation that cannot be replicated any other way. You cannot simulate the pressure of playing at that level in that city in that week. You simply have to go through it. And she did. Then came Berlin, and Berlin changed everything. She arrived as a wild card, the absolute last name added to the entry list of a tournament that featured Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina, Alina Svitolina, Jessica Pegula, and Amanda Anisimova. The field was about as strong as any WTA 500 event outside of a Grand Slam. and she was in it as a wild card, with no seeding, no protection in the draw, and no guarantee of anything beyond a first-round match. What she did across the next 4 days was remarkable. In round 1, she beat Donna Vekic, the reigning Queen's Club champion, 7-5, 6-4, saving 12 break points across the match. 12, including 4 consecutive break points in the final game while serving for the win. She did not get broken once in that final game. She closed it out with 3 unreturnable serves at the most critical moment of the match. Round 2 was Elena Rybakina, the world number 2, a player who had beaten Alex 6-4, 6-3 inches Rome just 5 weeks earlier on clay. Rybakina came in with a first-round bye, fully rested, and she started the match by serving an ace on the very first point, before quickly building a 4-1 lead in the opening set. Every analyst and prediction model had Rybakina winning this one. It looked completely routine from where she was sitting. Then Alex won the next 3 games, leveled at 4-4, traded holds until 5-5, broke to lead 6-5, missed a set point, and then calmly won the tie-break to take the first set 7-5. In the second set, she built a 4-2 lead and stepped up to serve for the match, immediately going down 0-40. 3 breakpoints, with the biggest win of her career on the line. She saved all 3, finishing with 2 unreturnable serves, and closed out the set 6-4. The match was over. It was the biggest win in the history of Philippine tennis, full stop, and it had happened on a WTA 500 court in Berlin against the reigning Wimbledon champion. The quarterfinal brought Alina Svitolina, the world number 8, one of the most battle-hardened competitors on the entire tour, a player who has been at the very top of the women's game for well over a decade, and who has beaten Grand Slam champions at their best. Alex broke her serve 5 times across the match, led 4-1 inch the first set, and when Svitolina fought back to 4-3, Alex broke immediately again and closed out the set 6-3. The second set went 6-4. Same pattern, same control. She finished with 19 winners against just 9 unforced errors, the most statistically complete and dominant performance she produced all week. 3 matches. 3 opponents who were either seeded or in the top 10. Vekic, the Queen's Club champion. Rybakina, the world number 2. Svitolina, the world number 8. 3 straight sets wins across 4 days as a wild card. The semifinal against Linda Noskova ended the run 6-2, 6-4, but not before those 3 wins delivered the ranking points that pushed her from number 35 to number 30 and into the Wimbledon seedings for the first time in her entire career. So that is how the ranking got here. That is the work that built this number. Now let us be completely straight about what happened in Bad Homburg today, because it deserves an honest assessment rather than being either dismissed entirely or turned into something more concerning than it actually is. Elise Mertens was simply the better player today. She came from 3-1 down in the first set to take it 6-3, hitting 5 aces and 18 winners in that set alone while making just 13 errors. She moved through the court with the kind of precise, controlled aggression that has kept her consistently ranked inside the top 30 of the world for years. She broke early in the second set and never once allowed Alex back into the match. The whole thing lasted an hour and 3 minutes and was not competitive in the way Berlin was competitive. There is important context behind that result. The head-to-head going into today was 2-0 inches Mertens' favor. She beat Alex at Monterrey in 2023 and then again at the Madrid Open in April this year, 6-2, 6-1 on clay, which was barely a contest. Mertens came into Bad Homburg ranked number 26, with 5 days of rest behind her. Alex came in with 1 day of rest after 6 hours of match time across 3 brutal Berlin battles in the space of 4 days. The statistics from the official WTA match report tell the story clearly. Mertens won 81.5% of her first serve points. Alex won 66.7% of hers. Mertens converted 4 of her 7 break-point opportunities. Alex converted just 1 of her 4. This was a physically exhausted player who had essentially run out of the physical reserves you need to compete at this level, walking onto a court against an experienced, well-rested Belgian professional who had been specifically preparing for this match. The result was almost entirely predictable given those circumstances. What was not predictable was what happened in Berlin. And Bad Homburg does not erase Berlin. It does not even come close to touching it. After her Berlin run, Alex said something that is worth holding on to. She said she thinks she is getting better and hopes she is getting better, and that being exposed to this level of competition more regularly really pushes you to your limits and forces you to show what you genuinely have. That last part is the sentence that matters most. Being exposed to this level more often, every single match she plays against someone like Mertens, every loss to a top 30 player on a fast surface, every break point that gets converted against her by a seasoned, experienced professional is information. It is exposure to the specific kind of competitive pressure and intensity that gradually turns a 2-1-year-old talented player into someone who can win matches and win rounds at Grand Slam tournaments. That process takes time, and it requires exactly the kind of week she just had in Berlin and the kind of loss she absorbed today in Bad Homburg. Both of them are part of the same education. And now, 6 days from today, Wimbledon begins. And Alex Eala walks through the gates of the All England club, ranked number 30 inches the world, as a seeded player, protected from the very best players in the draw until at least the 3rd or 4th round, playing on a surface where she has won 9 matches in 2026 and lost only twice. She arrives carrying the physical and mental memory of having beaten the world number 2 on this exact type of surface just 8 days ago. She arrives with a Birmingham title, a Berlin semi-final, and a Queen's Club round of 16 all accumulated within the same 4-week stretch on grass. No Filipino player has ever been seeded at Wimbledon. That changes on Friday when the draw is released, and Alex Eala's name appears on the seedings list of the most prestigious tennis tournament in the world for the first time in history. Now let us take a moment to talk about what a Wimbledon seeding actually means in practical terms, because it is worth understanding properly. The word seeded can sound like it is just a label, just a number printed next to a name on a draw sheet that does not change much about the actual tennis. But it means something very specific and very significant in terms of how a tournament plays out. Being seeded at Wimbledon means protection. It means the tournament committee is officially recognizing that this player has earned the right not to face the very best players in the world until the later rounds. Consider for a moment what the draw looks like for an unseeded player at Wimbledon. They can be placed against Aryna Sabalenka in the 1st round. They can be placed against Rybakina in the 2nd round. They can be placed against Iga Swiatek in the 3rd round. The draw is completely blind and completely ruthless for unseeded players. You get placed wherever the bracket needs you, with no margin for error and no path through the early rounds that avoids the tournament's champions and favorites. You can do everything right in your preparation and still find yourself up against the world number 1 in round 2. A seeded Alex Eala cannot face any of the top seeds until the 3rd round at the absolute earliest. What that means in practical terms is that she gets to build momentum at the tournament. She gets to play her first match, find her rhythm on All England club grass, settle her nerves, and get her game properly moving before she has to face the highest level of opposition. She gets to win a 1st round. She gets to win a 2nd round. She gets to experience what it feels like to progress through the rounds of a Wimbledon main draw as a seeded competitor. That experience, that feeling of being in it and moving through it, is itself valuable. It is the kind of thing that stays with a player and informs how she approaches the same tournament in future years. The seeding also sends a message, not just to the draw committee and the other players in the field, but to Alex herself. It is a formal, official recognition from the sport's governing structure that she has reached a level where she belongs among the top 30 players in the world on this surface. After 6 years of working her way up from outside the top 500, there is something meaningful about the sport itself, acknowledging where she now stands. It is not just a number. It is confirmation. And the timing of all this is worth noting as well. She is 21 years old. Most players who reach seeded status at Wimbledon for the first time do so after many more years in the professional game than she has had. She has arrived here faster than almost anyone could have reasonably predicted when she turned professional in 2020. And she has arrived here at a moment when her grass court form is genuinely outstanding. 9 wins on the surface this year. A tournament title in Birmingham. A semi-final in Berlin where she beat 2 players ranked inside the world's top 10. A Queen's Club run that gave her competitive experience at the highest level in London just weeks before the Grand Slam. The timing is not accidental. This has been a deliberately built, deliberately accumulated body of work across this specific surface during this specific season, and it has brought her to this exact point at exactly the right time. There will be moments at Wimbledon that test her. There will be rounds where the opponent is better on the day, and the result does not go her way. That is the nature of Grand Slam tennis, and no seeding, however well-deserved, protects you from difficult days or difficult opponents once the matches start. But what the seeding does is give her the best possible opportunity to show what she is genuinely capable of across the 2 weeks of the tournament without being thrown into the deep end immediately against the field's elite. She gets to compete, progress, build, and grow within the tournament itself, and that opportunity is something she has absolutely earned. From outside the top 500 inches the world as a teenager, to number 30, to seeded at Wimbledon in 6 years at 21 years old. The Bad Homburg loss against Mertens does not matter today. Not with the draw dropping on Friday, and not with the first Filipino player in history about to walk through the gates of the All England club with her name on the seedings list right where it belongs. The grass court season that built this moment is over. Wimbledon is next. And whatever happens over those 2 weeks, the journey that got her here already deserves to be celebrated for exactly what it is, one of the best individual development stories in the recent history of the sport. If you want to follow every match of Alex Eala's Wimbledon campaign as it unfolds, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. The draw drops on Friday, the full preview is coming, and every round will be covered in full. Do not miss it. Hand